the idea is now is to swap over the locks on the inside of these petrol lock lids. So this is the one I want to keep, this is the one I want to take out. So we all recognize the ignition lock on the front of the bike, but the whole locking system comprises more of just the ignition lock. As we know, it also has the tank lock, and on the GPZ you also have two helmet locks, one left, one right. And there is also the seat lock. So you have, with one key, 5 locks. Quite often you have a problem that either a seat lock's broke or the tank lock broke, or you end up with 2 different keys and whatever. Or in this case, in my restoration, if you want to call it that, the problem I have is I have a complete lock set which I want to use because it's the only lock set I have which is complete with all 5 with fitting key. But the problem is it has this rather horrible looking silver petrol tank lock thing. Somebody's taken the paint off it, and I'm not keen on that. It's not standard, that's not what I want. And the one I took off my bike was actually this one, which is a black one, which I want to keep, but it has a different lock. I can't use this one because the lock set is not complete. There are the 2 helmet locks on the side of the frame have been broken off. So the idea is now is to swap over the locks on the inside of these petrol lock lids. So this is the one I want to keep, this is the one I want to take out. Now I've already slightly dismantled this one. If you turn it over, there are 2 screws holding the main ring onto the lock. If you take the 2 screws out, you can remove that. Then you have, there are other bits here. I've actually slightly dismantled it, just it looks like this. There are 2 screws, you take the 2 screws out. Then there are 4 screws here and 5 little springs on these little noopsies here. Okay, so you take off the 5 springs, take out the 4 screws. Try not to lose them. So 1, 2, 3, 4 screws and 5 springs. Take the lid off, and then this is what you are presented with. And once you've taken all the springs and the screws out, you can actually, if I take this key out, remove this. This is the lock. This is the piece I don't want. Move that to one side. And this is the piece I want to keep. So now, taking the fuel cap filler from the bike, from the black lid I want to keep. Again, it's slightly dismantled just for ease, but I've got the 4 screws in here which I still need to remove. So I'll just take these out very quickly. And the 2 screws holding the lid onto the ring, because if you don't take these screws out, you can't remove the lock piece. So I'll just put that to one side for now. So now, oh look, there's actually a piece that fits on here. That's this piece here. Goes like that. There you go, like that. And now you can lift the whole piece out, Now, something I just want to point out to you here, very important. The key cover is sprung loaded. This one isn't, and this is what happens if it isn't. It just sort of wobbles around like this. This is because inside here the spring mechanism is missing. Flies out very quickly once you've taken the lock out. It comprises of, I hope you can see this, a spring on each side and a little tiny ball bearing, and that just puts a little bit of pressure onto the cover. I'm not going to be opening and closing this at the moment because the movement will make all these bits and pieces fly apart. So now that I've mixed everything up, I have to make sure I put the right piece in. This is the lock I want. I do believe it was this one. I'll just check. There's a little spring in here that's come out of the little notch here. That needs to go back in there because this is what returns the spring, the key into its original position, because the lock is like sprung loaded. There you go, the key comes back. We're just looking at that. So you could have two different versions. You either have a spring loaded key or a non-spring loaded key for whatever reason. I wasn't actually aware that they were different, so because there's notches missing off this one, there's no spring to bring that back. So move that to one side, don't want that. So now I want to put it all back together, so making sure I've not lost my two springs here and my ball bearings. I'll take the key out, otherwise I can't get it through. So this goes over the top like this. Where I put my 4 screws back in. See, now you notice how this feels sprung loaded, and when you're riding it won't be flapping open or opening up. So yeah, so from here just make sure that that spring is inside here. This is slightly protruding. There we go, in you go. So from here I need to take this cover. It has a seal, and you will see that inside this cover, if you can see this, there is a cutout which is actually connected to this opening tongue. And it's the the rotation of this barrel which actually opens or unlocks and opens the tank, the petrol tank. So when you put this on, just try to engage that into there. You might have to wiggle it with the key a little bit. Oh, sorry. We have to put our 5 springs on first. Almost forgot that. So let's put that on. So make sure we've got our 5 springs in, haven't lost any whilst messing around. Put the little plate over the top. Put the ring on. There we go. And there are 2 long screws, one there and one there. Do those up. if we've done everything right, we should now be able to use the key. There you go, and you see the little nose going in and out. And in this case, the key is sprung loaded. And the lid works. So now it's just a case of screwing it back onto the tank, onto the petrol tank. So this is the tank I'm fitting this to. I will be giving it a clean up before it goes on, but so I don't lose anything, I'll fit it. Now, the tank lock has on the underside, between the tank lock and the tank, has a rubber gasket. Just make sure that that's not damaged in any way. And you can either put it on here and screw down, or I prefer to put it onto here, to be honest. Just makes things a bit easier. So once that's on there, you can then, you have two holes here. You have this like a drain breather hole, and you have a screw hole here. So this tells you pretty much how this is fitted. So it's this way around, because here's the screw hole, and here's the cutout for the breather. So that goes on there like that. Then I take my Allen screws, just plop one in each hole. Then a small screw does go in here. I shall be leaving that out for now. I'll put it in when I give that all a final clean up. But just to check that it works, should be able to lock the tank up now. That's it, locked. And open. So I now have the correct lock on the tank, and that can be fitted to the bike with the rest of the whole locking system. So yeah, that's a quick one for today. How to change your tank lock.